Speaker 49, Michelle Hope Villegas.
Good afternoon, members of the board and CPS. My name is Michelle Hoppy Villegas. I'm a former LSC member, very active volunteer and PTA officer at Lincoln Elementary School. And I love the school. I just hate what you guys are about to do to it. Information has recently come to light in the last month that should be brought forward to help this board and the citizens of Chicago understand how decisions are made regarding allocation of scarce educational resources and to better prioritize the needs of the children of Chicago. In the decision to allocate funds to Lincoln Elementary School, before funds were allocated to schools far more overcrowded for far longer and with far fewer options to relieve overcrowding, there was misinformation disseminated that the state of Illinois directed the funds to the Lincoln Project and the funds could not be used elsewhere. Senator Cullerton assured us that this was not the case. This means that the Board of Education and CPS and Mayor Rahm Emanuel own this decision. You have choice to allocate scarce educational funds where they are most needed and based on fact and unbiased analysis, guided by best practices in urban planning and educational policy. This was not done in the Lincoln decision. To deflect political pressure and avoid bad decisions, all facility decisions should be justified, aligned, and rationalized with the Educational Facilities Master Plan. It is the law. Nor was this decision fiscally responsible. According to just released space utilization data, Lincoln is still surrounded by schools with 600 empty seats, and its enrollment is projected to decline again next year. And yet, an annex to double capacity is being built over the Lincoln playground, eliminating the only playground in the Mid-North neighborhood.
Ms. Villegas,
against the will of the community.
Ms. Villegas, excuse me, can you please conclude?
Yes.
Thank you.
The Lincoln decision was made not because of greatest need or lack of good options, but to speculate and prop up the property values of those impacted and to keep taxpayers in the city. In the latter excuse, to keep taxpayers in the city, I believe that is code for rich white people, and that it could be far better utilized elsewhere. Lincoln
Our
is...
next speaker, please. Myrna Torres, please.
Good afternoon, members of the board and CPS. I am Myrna Torres, Executive Director of AARP, Experience Corps of the Chicago branch. And I'm here to express our appreciation for the opportunity to partner with CPS to increase reading levels with our literacy intervention research-based model for children in kindergarten through third grade. We are new to Chicago, we are new to CPS, and we just started in the schools in November of this year. You'll be happy to know that we're serving 14 schools, 13 of which are welcoming schools or receiving schools. Our tutors are in 92 classrooms with over 1,100 students being served. There are 110 older adult tutor volunteers in the classroom, working with small groups of children from 2 to 4 students in each group during their 2-hour reading block. Our volunteers are trained in the 5 pillars of reading with specific literacy intervention strategies. I recently received an email from my field staff from Pershing East Elementary from a meeting she had with the principal. Dr. Jiwa is extremely pleased with the volunteers and indicated to her the most recent scores. There has been a significant increase with her kindergarten classes, and she knows it's directly related to our services. She's anxious to look at the scores and do a comparison with the students in the other grades. The tutoring services only began at Pershing on November 20th. We are currently correcting mid-year reading scores to demonstrate the increases.
Ms. Torres, excuse me, can you please conclude?
Yes.
Thank you.
To demonstrate the increases in reading levels, I am extremely encouraged by the consistent feedback that we're getting from teachers and principals, and we're excited about continuing this partnership with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. As the next speaker approaches Sarah Hands, she will be followed by Speaker 52, Shaquana Johnson, followed by Speaker 53, Quantel Frazier, and then Speaker 56, Betty Ipofio.
Hi, Sarah Haynes, Chicago Teachers Union. Our neighborhood schools are losing important programs that help our students succeed and to attract students to enroll. Next year, this will be much worse because of student-based budgeting. Meanwhile, the board is set to approve the renewal of 8 charters with very alarming caveats that clearly indicate that CPS recognizes the unfair advantages charters have, especially in annual noncompliance with the meager items that they are accountable for. CPS spends an exorbitant amount of time and money on these schools at the detriment of our neighborhood schools. Number 1, talent development is voluntarily returning the charter. I'd like to know which charter school is going to get this charter. When ACT voluntarily returned its charter, it went to KIP, so I think the public needs to know who's going to get that one. Number 2, Urban Prep Bronzeville is moving yet again for the 3rd time, this time to Doolittle. Each urban prep campus has moved every few years at the expense to the district and the extreme inconvenience of all the neighborhood schools that have to co-share with them. The $1 lease is only for 1 year, so obviously the district does not think it's a good school. Number 3, Frazier Academy is moving to Herzl, which is a level 3. How will this co-share with a low-performing charter affect it? Herzl has a science lab and a library. Will the co-share take those rooms away? Number 4, CMSA. Renewal conditions include annual affidavit that states the board of directors are free from any conflicts of interest with concept schools. The last renewal required clear delineation of the CMSA board and the CMO. Obviously, it's still a problem. Further, CPS didn't approve Concept's expansion last year because of inconsistent academic achievement. So why approve this renewal? Number 5, Noble has to submit annually the materials used for admissions and lottery. Obviously, CPS is suspicious about selection bias.
Ms. Hands, excuse me, can you please conclude?
Okay.
Thank you.
Finally, the Uno Natchez attendance boundary amendment extends west to Sayre. This will hurt Burbank, level 2, 75% utilized, and Sayre, level 1, 87% utilized. There is no need for any charters to have attendance boundaries, and it only serves to steal
Ms.
students away
Hands.
from neighborhood schools.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please. Shaquana Johnson, last call. Moving on to speaker number 53.
How you doing, members of the board? I like to say this is an honor meeting Barbara Bird Bennett and also President Vitale. I am a senior currently at Paul Robeson High School, but through my high school years, I've always dreamed to be a principal and then CEO. So I propose that we start a program called Save My Dream, and what we're doing is saving kids' dreams as far as principals and doctors, and what that means is we partner up with them doctors and make sure our students get the quality education that they need as far as that. So when they go in college, time will not be wasted, money won't be wasted. We talk so much about money and saving our students. This program will let them know as a freshman all the way to 12th grade, when they sit down with them parents and the teachers, as a freshman, they know what they want to do. So when they get into college, they already have it in their minds what they want to achieve in. So I asked the board to save and help my dream come true, as it came true today, seeing Barbara Bird Bennett and President Vitale and helping my dream come true, because I always wanted to be a principal, and it will come, but I need help with Chicago Public Schools, and I ask and I pray that that happen today. And thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Betty Apofio. As she approaches, she will be followed by Speaker 54, Tiffany Pryor, then Speaker 55, Yamani Hernandez, Speaker 57, Evelardo Rivera, and then Speaker 58, Rosemary Vega, please.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Betty E. Boyfo, and this is Estella Holloway. We're both on our PAC and our local school council at Paul Robeson High School. What I come to address you about is our student enrollment is constantly declining because we have no elective programs. I'm here to ask for a CTE program to our school. Our principal for the last 3 years has been writing programs for CTEs, and to no avail. There has not been a response from the Board of Education. Last year in December, we put one in for medical and carpentry for the school. Now, I figure maybe if we had a program in the school, we would increase our enrollment at the time, because right now we don't have anything to offer the other students that's coming in from elementary schools, and a lot of the elementary schools are telling their students not to apply for Robeson. So we don't want that to be the case. So in that regard, we're asking you what happened to our CTE request and what is the future of our school. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker, please, Tiffany Pryor. Last call. Last call for Yamani Hernandez.
Okay. Hello. My name is Margaret Aguilera. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. My name is. I'm a student at Whitney Young High School. Right now, the students, the only numbers, I'm number. But we don't have any points. We need more points. And we need more support at Saucedo School. Saucedo School has done pretty good on the standardized test. And if they score lower on the test, then people would think that it's a bad school. Anyway, I'm here because I feel that education is important. It's not how you measure it, the scores mean nothing. What the student is learning in the class, you can't measure that on a standardized test. There's so many different ways to answer a question. Because all people are different, they answer things differently. For example, there's standardized tests in third grade, and there's many years that they have to take those tests. But one question is, if a person really wants to save their research sources, what's a good way to do that?
Excuse me, can you please conclude?
For this one? Okay. For example, one question from a third grade science standardized test found on ASCD.com says, if someone really wants to conserve resources, one good way to do so is to A, leave lights on even if they are not needed, B, wash large loads instead of small loads in a clothes washing machine, C, write on both sides of a piece of paper, or D, place used newspapers in the garbage. In third grade, I maybe say B, wash large loads is the right answer because my parents taught me to wash one load to save detergent and water. Now I know that the answer would be C, write on both sides of a piece of paper because you're saving paper. But this just shows that students come to answers differently. ABCD exams don't measure how much a student knows. Teaching by an exam makes the classroom inorganic, lets the teachers teach what they know students need. Let teachers decide what they want to teach, not slam them with reach assessments to see if students learn. It's their classroom, let them teach. The students of Chicago are not a product. We are more than a number. We are more than a score. We are so much more than that. Can anybody honestly say that questions like this are an accurate knowledge of a student's education?
Our
And
next
that's from
speaker.
Chicago Students Union. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please. Last call for Rosemary Vega. Moving on to speaker number 59, please, Matthew Hancock, and then the last speaker, Karen Hughes. Last call for Matthew Hancock.
I I ambitiously wrote good morning, but I'll say good afternoon. My name is Matt Hancock. I'm the co-founder and executive director of Chicago Tech Academy. It's an honor to be here with you today. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm proud to tell you that last year, 95% of our graduates were accepted to college, many joining some of the top computer science programs in the Midwest. Their example has inspired more than 1,600 eighth graders to apply to be a part of Chicago Tech Academy next year. On behalf of our board of directors, we feel that the renewal recommendation before you represents a real opportunity for our school, a chance to take Chi-Tech to the next level. That said, we have one request. We respectfully ask that you consider one change to the recommendation before you. We feel an extension of only 1 year is not sufficient to achieve the kinds of changes our school needs. Instead, a 3-year contract renewal would give our corporate supporters the confidence they need to continue investing in Chi-Tech and in this new partnership. More than 100 businesses are invested in our students' success. In addition to financial support, they play a hands-on role, helping us develop curriculum, providing work-based learning experiences, and unparalleled opportunities for our students to build social capital, professional relationships that launch careers and make economic mobility possible. Our business community is in it for the long haul. Their success in the future depends on our future success. They
Mr.
want to be
Hancock?
sure, yes.
Mr. Hancock, can you please conclude?
I will.
Thank
They
you.
want to be sure that Chicago Public Schools is in it for the long haul as well. 3 years assures our partners that the investment they make today will have time to grow. 3 years assures our community that they are part of building something great for the future. Thank you for listening. I hope that you'll give this request serious consideration. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Hancock. Our last speaker, Karen Hughes. Last call. Mr. President, that concludes public participation.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and let me thank all of our speakers today for their input. At this juncture, I would like to ask my fellow board members if they have any comments regarding what they heard from the public, or whether they have any questions with those items that we have to vote for on the public agenda. Anybody? I would just say we appreciate the challenges that all of our schools face regarding funding. We had a lot of people here talking about the issue of funding our schools. But I just want to remind everybody for more than a year, maybe more than 2 years, maybe about 3 years, we've been telling the public that we have a large financial challenge in front of us. Dr. Bird Bennett today outlined one of the reasons that challenge is before us. The increasing cost of supporting our teachers and their retirement is growing and has grown rapidly at a time when revenue has not grown, when federal revenue has in fact more or less been flat, state revenue has declined, and where this board has actually increased taxes to its ability every year over the last 3 years. So it is a difficult challenge. We respect the concerns that members of our school community have about their budgets and the resources they have available, and we do want to try to address them. But there is only so much that's in our control. We can, in fact, lobby with the federal government. We can, in fact, pursue issues with the state government who control our ability to manage our funding and also manage some of our expenses. And I assure you that we are trying to do that. But I just want to say that we do respect the challenges that our schools face when it comes to funding the complete education that they would like to have and that we would like to have for them. With that, unless anybody else got anything to say, we will move on to voting the public agenda, Madam Secretary.
Yes, Mr. President. I will begin with items on the public agenda and only read the board report numbers since the titles and board reports appeared on the public agenda. I will begin with resolutions. These items do require a vote, and they are RS 1, 2, 3. Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
A second, please.
I'll proceed with a roll call. Dr. Beenan? Vice President Reese?
Yes.
Board Member Quazzo?
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays. I will continue with communications. These items do not require a vote. CO1 is the communication regarding the location of the March 26, 2014 board meeting. This is to advise that the regular meeting of the Board of Education scheduled for Wednesday, March 24, 2014 will be held at the Central Administration Building, 125 South Clark, Board Chamber, 5th floor. The board meeting will begin at 10:30 a.m. Public participation guidelines are available on our website or by calling the board office. For the March 26, 2014 board meeting, advance registration to speak will be available beginning Monday, March 17th at 8 a.m. and closed Friday, March 21st at 5 p.m. or until all slots are filled. You can advance register during the registration period by the following methods: online, in person, by phone, or in person. And the public participation segment of the meeting will begin as indicated on the meeting agenda and proceed no more than the 60 speakers. CO2 is the communication from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the comprehensive annual financial report of the board for fiscal year 2013. And Mr. President, it reads, the Office of the Chief Financial Officer has prepared the fiscal year 2013 comprehensive annual financial report pursuant to Section 34-29 of the Illinois School Code. The board retained the independent certified accounting firm of McGladrey LLP to audit the basic financial statements of the board as of and for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2013. McGladrey LLP has completed the audit and issued an unmodified report on the basic financial statements, which is included in the comprehensive annual financial report. Copies of the comprehensive annual financial report have been distributed to the board members of the board in advance of this meeting. Today, the comprehensive annual financial report is being presented to and accepted by the board, and it will be filed in the official records of the board and will be transmitted to the mayor of the city of Chicago and the city council as required by law. Mr. President, I will continue with public agenda items that do require a vote, and they are EX1, 2, EX3, EX4, 5, 6. Moving on to EX7, 8, 9, 10, 11, EX12, 13, 14, EX15, and for the record, on EX15, Mr. President, I would like to note an abstention for Vice President Reese on EX15, and then EX16. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Madam Secretary, if there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote with the noted abstention.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll continue with additional items on the public agenda that do require a vote, and they are PR1. And for the record, I would like to note an abstention for Board Member Quazzo on PR1. We then have PR2, PR3. For the record, Mr. President, I would like to note an abstention for Board Member Quazzo on PR3. Moving on to PR4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The next item is PR9, and then we have PR10. And for the record, I would like to note abstentions for Vice President Reese on PR9 and 10. On PR11, I would like to note also an abstention for Vice President Reese on PR11, and also note that the board report will be revised and it will be included in the agenda of action to reflect the correct vendor name for error mark and as well as the authorization section. So we'll have the final in the action for PR11. The next item is PR12, and I would also like to note an abstention for Vice President Reese on PR12. And again, this report has been revised in the authorization section, and the final board report for PR12 will be included in the agenda of action. The next item on the agenda that requires a vote then would be OP1, and for the record, I would like to note an abstention for Vice President Reese on OP1. We then have OP2, 3, 4, OP5, 6, 7, 8. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Madam Secretary, if there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote with the noted abstentions.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I will now continue with items on the public agenda that do not require a vote, and they are ED1, EX17, EX18, and AR1. And, Mr. President, these items just need to be accepted by the board.
Madam Secretary, please mark received and filed.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are no further items on the public agenda, and we will now proceed with the closed session motion from Dr. Beenan, please.
I move for the passage of motion number 14-0226-M01 and the commencement of a closed session to consider the subject specified in the motion.
Second.
Thank you. I'll proceed with the roll call. Dr. Beenan?
Aye.
Vice President Reese?
Yes.
Board Member Quazzo?
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. We will move into executive session. Okay. I'm back in the session. Meeting of Board of Education is reconvened. Madam Secretary, please proceed with the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will start with items from closed session, and I will begin with settlements. These items do require a vote. First report, workers' compensation, payment for lump sum settlement for Michael Green Sr., case numbers 10 WC 22847 and 11 WC 29361. The second report is the workers' compensation, payment for lump sum settlement for Nilda Rivera, case number 08 WC 13369. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Vice President Reese?
Yes.
Board Member Quazzo?
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays. I will continue with items from the Chief Executive Officer. I will begin with personnel appointments and a warning resolution. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote. The first report is the principal contracts for new ALSC. We proceed with the warning resolution for Kristen Broderick, tenured teacher, Charles Holden Elementary School. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Madam Secretary, if there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will continue with an item from the board, and this item does require a vote. This is the resolution approving the Chief Executive Officer's recommendation to dismiss educational support personnel. And Mr. President, this item does require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I believe that Vice President Reese has a motion, please.
I do. I move that the board adopt the minutes of the closed session meeting of January 22nd, 2014, pursuant to Section 2.06 of the Open Meetings Act. Board members reviewed these minutes and determined that the need for confidentiality continues to exist. Therefore, the minutes of the closed session meeting held on January 22nd, 2014 shall be maintained as confidential, not available for public inspection at this time.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll proceed with the roll call. Vice President Reese?
Yes.
Board Member Quazzo?
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, and I believe Board Member Quazzo has a motion, please.
I move that the record of proceedings of the regular board meeting of January 22nd, 2014, and the special board meeting of February 13th, 2014, prepared by the board secretary, be approved, and that such records of proceedings be posted on the Chicago Board of Education website in accordance with Section 2.06B of the Open Meetings Act.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Vice President Reese?
Yes.
Board Member Quazzo?
Yes.
Dr. Escoitia?
Yes.
President Vitale?
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, and Mr. President, there are no further items on the closed session agenda.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
We are adjourned.